Laughing aloud now, magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so wizards, oh, 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 oh. Life is a spell we know. We're casting joy and glow, oh, oh. That's a wizard show.
It's 2026. Wizards of the Coast has just hired 2 new people and given another guy a sideways promotion. Meanwhile, they haven't announced anything. It must be bad. Bad. It's your bad boy, the OGGM, broadcasting live from Site B, located in the tabletop role-playing game center of the universe that is Fresno, Nevada, which doesn't in fact exist. It's Wednesday, you know what that means. Wizards of the Coast must be up to something. And they're starting the brand new year on this, the 7th day at 8 o'clock in the morning with a total lack of news. They definitely have not announced a new project. No, wait, 2 new projects. No, wait, 3 new projects. No, wait, 7 new projects so far. But yeah, they haven't announced anything. And as for that rumor that they're working on D&D 2027, yeah, no, I mean, that can't be true, right? Because that's not something companies do, work on new ideas. Certainly, Toyota isn't working on new cars, right? And Microsoft isn't working on new programs, right? And the military isn't working on new space jets and spaceships and stuff, right? Right? Once you make something, that's it. You're just done, right? All right, so let's go over the Wizards of the Coast news and see if any of this is inherently bad or good, including some of the non-existing announcements that they've made for new stuff for 2026, because they're not announcing anything for 2026 as long as we ignore the things that they've announced. I don't know why so many people are on this they haven't announced anything bandwagon, and changes must be bad, you know? I mean, I know there's a lot of us out there who want Wizards of the Coast to fail, but I assure you guys, you don't need to make things up. They are fully capable of shooting themselves in the feet without our help. You don't need to make stuff up. Oh, yeah, they're not working on anything new. Oh, yeah, they've not announced anything. Literally, just announce something. All right, so let's get to it. James Ohlen has been sideways promoted. What's a sideways promotion? Well, a sideways promotion, if you're familiar with how corporations work, is when you get a phony baloney title, more responsibility, but they don't give you any money. Extra money, just more jobs, more things to do, more chances of people to blame stuff on you, but no actual extra thing. So James Olsen, Ohlen, I'm going to call him James Olsen because it's just has shifted from the head of Archetype Entertainment to the new creative consultant for tabletop RPGs at Wizards. Because the old one, I guess, is gone. Was that Crawford's job? No, he was the head architect. Well, now he's the creative. Now James is the creative consultant. Doesn't consultant usually mean somebody who works outside of the company, who comes in to address and fix a program or problem or whatever, and then leave? Creative consultant. Wasn't Matt Mercer the creative consultant on the new Dungeon Master's Guide? But no, that's now a job at Wizards, and James Olsen, not his real name, is the new guy in charge of it. Hey, James, can you consult on this? Sure. What do you think? I think it's okay. All right, I'm just gonna. Thanks. Yeah. All right. He's shifting his focus as he's stepping down from Archetype and Entertainment ahead of the studio's release, Exodus. You know, remember the game that Wizards of the Coast didn't announce for 2026. He's now going to be in charge of creativity. What is James's history in Wizards of the Coast, other than being in charge of helping make a new video game that may see the light of day? Exodus, which is announced for 2026. That's done, I guess. So they're just he's moving on to 2027. What has he done for D&D? Well, he's published third-party material on Drive-Thru. He helped work on the Exodus role-playing game. He's released supplements on drive-through. James, how long have you been playing D&D? Doesn't say. Here's an interesting question. If Wizards of the Coast employees are putting stuff on drive-through and D&D Beyond, what does that mean? Well, it means you're basically doing work for free because we know you're not getting paid for it. If you want to supplement your income making stuff for the game, don't make it through drive-through. Or comments already. Cat Monroe 71 says, "Good morning, Zarian Ways." And Zarian also says, "That's what RPG." So what is Exodus? I think they mean. Exodus was a science fiction type role-playing game that they're working on for Wizards of the Coast. It's their first non-5e science fiction product, even though it is for 5e. And yeah, apparently it's already done. So they announced that earlier this year, but of course we know that Wizards of the Coast hasn't announced that they're working on anything. So yeah, we know he's made some stuff. Other than that, I don't know how long he's been playing. I don't know anything about the guy, but he just moved from one part of Wizards of the Coast to a different part of Wizards of the Coast. Here's more responsibility, but we're not going to give you any extra money, and you don't have any actual say in anything because you're just a consultant. So we can just ignore anything you say. Guys, I don't think you should put that in the game. We're putting it in the game, James. You're just consulting. Doesn't mean we have to listen to you. I remember when a consultant came into one of the companies I worked back in California in the studio industry, and the guy spent 2-3 days, and then at the end, the owner said, "Yeah, thanks, but I'm not changing anything." You're a consultant. All right, moving on to the next one. We've got two new hires. Oh, this is a computer game version of that by the people who claim to be behind Mass Effect. Well, that's their claim. It's from Dark Winter. So yeah, they announced that they were doing a sci-fi thing, and it's going to have a physical and a video game, and it's done through their new video game arm. And James was working on it, but now he's done working on it. So now he's moving over to being creative consultant on stuff. Moving on. The next winner for congratulations, got a new job at Wizards of the Coast is this guy, James Hayek. Joins Wizards of the Coast as senior D&D designer. He was the co-writer of Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. He's joined Wizards of the Coast as a senior D&D designer. So you weren't working on it when you get whatever. He's got a podcast called Eldereth Lorecast. He's a prolific D&D designer, having worked at freelance on multiple Wizards of the Coast titles. He refers to himself as they, were involved with several Critical Role projects, including acting as a lead designer for Call of the Netherdeep and co-writer for Explorer's Guide to Agarmount. He's also worked on D&D Beyond, working on various editorial projects. He joins a roster of recent promotion and hires, which includes James Raman Armin, who's now game design director, F. Wesley Schneider, Mackenzie's still there, James Wyatt, and Amanda Hamad. All right, Waterdeep Dragon Heist was announced, 3 years ago? 4 years ago? So we know they have at least been involved with Wizards of the Coast adjacent. Well, we want them to be nerds, right? For at least 4 or 5 years. And he's made a lot of third-party stuff through D&D Beyond and DM's Guild. But now he's in charge of, what's he's in charge of? Senior D&D designer. So we've got James #1, who's now the new creative consultant. And now we've got James #2, who's the new senior. So I guess that means he's above Mackenzie. But not in that way. In the I'm your boss, Mackenzie. How long have you been playing D&D? What is your opinion on the old school? What have you actually done besides make 5e stuff? I'm confused because it says he just got hired, but it also says he's already worked for them. So did you get fired and then rehired? Or is this just another sideways promotion? What the hell does the senior D&D designer do if Wizards of the Coast has not released any products or announced any products for 2026? What are you doing? Because we know they haven't announced anything, right? That's the big thing, right? That several people are on about. In fact, several people posted when these announcements were made that why are they hiring new people when they have nothing planned for 2026? This can't be good. Oh, we're going to get to that. Don't worry, Zarion. We got another one. James number 2 is not the only one because we now got a Leon. This is Leon, who looks exactly like James. Leon is now D&D designer. So we got creative consultant, head of D&D creativity, and D&D designer. So they are part of the new D&D design team. They've got experience in third-party supplements for DM's Guild, and it's about it. So we've got another person who's done third-party stuff, transferred to D&D, holding up 5e character sheets, standing under the dragon. Who's standing in? So this was taken recently at Christmas. Now, is this a male or a female? I can't tell. Or they? Probably they. So this is another person who did stuff. No, yep, they. They're they. Who did third-party stuff and then just got promoted to do third stuff for Wizards designing things. But so all these changes, I mean, it's got to be bad, right? It can't be good, right? Right? Unless 6E's on the way. Interesting you should mention that. We'll get to that in just a second. So what did we start this whole thing with? Oh, all these people getting new jobs or being promoted can't be good since Wizards of the Coast hasn't announced any product for 2026. As long as you don't count this new D&D romantasy book called Feywild Job. It's written by C.L. Polk, a rogue tasked with stealing a gem and his team with their ex-lover, a bard. The twist of the novel is the rogue has a magical pact granting them powers in exchange for never falling in love. Are this boy, girl? I can't tell. Doesn't they? The picture looks like it's boy, but whatever. So here's another thing not being announced. So that's 2 new books through Random House that aren't being announced for 2026. There's the Dragonlance project that Joe is working on with Margaret in 2026, which hasn't been announced. And from that Dragonlance project is going to come a collection of the old books, possibly a new book, maybe the documentary. All of that not announced. Oh, then there's Dark Sun 2026. Definitely didn't announce that. The crochet book. Remember the crochet book? How upset we are about talking about the D&D crochet book in 2026? Remember when Wizards of the Coast didn't announce that? Oh, and what about the 3 workbooks that they've announced that they didn't announce that are coming out in 2026? Oh, and remember they also didn't announce a new book for the Young Adventurers collection. But if you ask the Vox Populus of negative Nellies, they will tell you that Wizards has not announced anything for 2026. We're just going to ignore Dark Sun and and the Magic the Gathering stuff. And the fact that these changes are happening is bad. Meanwhile, no new settings. No new settings. That is the point. They have not announced any new settings or rule books. Technical. So yeah, I guess that is a thing. Because they haven't announced any rule books. They've announced supplements and extensions and stuff. But I mean, how often do they do that, right? I mean, we had D&D 2024 come out. Then we had D&D 2025 happen, which a few things about. WOCC wants to appeal to new players. The old school fans of how many OSR games Wizards of the Coast doesn't care about appealing to grognarders. No! Really, Sarian? If only my fellow grognards would realize that and stop complaining. But then, what would we talk about? Again, guys, Wizards of the Coast doesn't need your help. You don't have to make up stuff like they're not announcing anything because they're announcing anything. Setting books and modules don't make any money. Actually, Bob, it's the opposite. Expansion stuff, supplemental stuff is most of the money, while the core stuff doesn't make them any money. So Player's Handbook, or we'll use video games, buying the N64 doesn't make Nintendo any money, and it doesn't make Target any money. Buying the Player's Handbook doesn't make Target any money, doesn't make the bookstore any money, doesn't make Wizards of the Coast any money. Expansions, video games, controllers, extended warranties, all that stuff, well, that's pure profit. That's pure profit. So modules, maps, Magic the Gathering stuff, dice, anything that they can brand D&D on is the profit. That's why there's so many splat books and so many notebooks and expansions and things that doesn't really cost Wizards, Hasbro any real money. It doesn't cost Hasbro any money to make that crochet book. So it's pretty much pure profit. So releasing a new setting book, releasing modules would be great, and would be a great way to attract new players to the hobby and make them money. Will anybody buy D&D Dark Sun 2026? Doubtful. I mean, the old school's not going to buy it because we know that it's going to be some homogenized Mackenzie Dioms safe take on the classic setting. And the new school's not going to buy it because why would they care? I don't know what this is. Some guy in a desert. I got to pay $90 for. Yeah, I haven't heard a massive outcry from the 5e fans for Dark Sun. Actually, we haven't really heard a outcry from the 5e fans about anything really, other than the representation and how D&D is this, that, and the other thing. But when was the last time we heard the 5e fans actually sound excited by a product that Wizards is making? They weren't even really excited by 5e 2024. And yet somehow Wizards of the Coast made $1 billion. We're all right. Closing up with the announcement of 6th edition. So way back in 2025, beginning of December, there was a rumor floating around that Wizards was working on D&D 6e or D&D 6x. And this rumor got sparked because people were doing stuff, and somebody saw Luke Gygax working at Wizards running games, but not running 5e, running old games, specifically 2nd edition. And 2026, 2027 is the anniversary of 2nd edition, specifically the 2nd edition Monster Manual, but basically 50 years or something like that since the announce of 2nd edition. it's all sort of muddled because, there's a whole thing. When did second edition really start? What counts as second edition? Blah, 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 blah. So we've got that. We've got Luke Gygax running D&D, but not Wizards of the Coast 5e D&D. We've got this rumor that's been floating around since earlier this year of a Advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition anniversary version of D&D that's going to be D&D 6. Add to that rumors that they're playtesting something over at Wizards that's possibly going to be D&D 6e. And of course, still there on the calendar, Dungeons and Dragons 6X June 2027. So, could hiring all these new people and sideways promotions be because they are working on a 6th edition? Well, when this rumor first started, several notable members of the dungeon tubing community, which, is dying, said no, they wouldn't do that. It's too soon. D&D 5.5 just came out. But D&D 5.5, from Wizards of the Coast point of view, is not a new thing. All they did was take D&D 2014 5e, run it through the cleaner, scrape off a few misunderstandings, change a few genders, rewrite the entire history, write these horrible things about the old school, totally rewrite the actual history of the hobby, and then release Dungeons and Dragons 2024 for the 50th anniversary. So remember, technically from Wizards of the Coast point of view, 5.5 is not a new edition. It's just an errata. It's backwards compatible. You don't really need it to play D&D anymore. Yes, you do. So they could announce D&D 6X playtesting sometime this year, as the rumor mill seems to be saying. And technically, well, we are this is a new edition, because 5.5 is not a new edition. It is a new edition. It's an expansion. It's a redefining. It's a house cleaning. It's a celebration of the 50th anniversary. It's not a new edition. That was Crawford's big thing until he announced that it was a new edition when he was being interviewed by Jeannie D, which is why she's not so popular over at Wizards right now. Separate story. Now, at the start, 23 minutes ago, I, sarcastically talked about how companies don't work on new things once they've released something, which, of course, is erroneous. And the people who are saying that, that's just absolute balderdash. You're just making negativity to generate negative hits, right? Of course they're working on new stuff. They're always working on new stuff. Between 2014 and 2024, how many D&D things came out where they explored new ideas, explored new rules, changed things, new classes, new races, new settings? The second D&D 2024 hit the shelves, they didn't stop. They started working on the next project. So, of course, they're playtesting 6th edition. They've probably been playtesting 6th edition since 2014. And they could very well come out with a 6th edition in 2027. Especially when we just received a notice that, yeah, they are working on it. Guys, Toyota doesn't stop. There's always another new car. The military doesn't stop. There's always another new plane or gun or something. Microsoft doesn't stop. The second you finish a product, you don't stop. You start working on the next product. The second the rules come out, you're just like, we're done, everybody's fired. No, you hire new people to start working on new rules. You experiment with the fan base to see how the game needs to evolve and change to capture the imagination of whoever the 2026, 2027 audience is for D&D. And whether it's a reprint, reboot, Avengers Doomsday version of D&D, whether it's a limited edition one-shot to celebrate the 50th anniversary of 2nd edition, where they re-release a homogenized version of 2nd edition for $120, and that's it. Or they make a special super secret anniversary version, something will come out. There will be something new. So I'm still betting money that D&D 6X June 2027 is going to happen. I don't know what it's going to be. Will it be 6th edition? Will it be 5.5.1? Will Wizards of the Coast finally shut down and sell D&D to another company? That'll never happen. Will it be 4th edition again? I thought that was Draw Steel. Are there any Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2e retro clones? Dear God, yes. Dear God, yes. So many retro clones. Dungeon tubers need clickbait to get views. I guess now they do. I wish they didn't, but negativity and hate and anger at Wizards still sells. Hell, I've been milking this Wizards of the Coast anger for what, 10 years now? In closing, here we go. In closing, guys, the whole point of this is, yes, Wizards of the Coast does have plans for 2026. They have announced 7 new projects. And if you count the Dungeons and Dragons Magic the Gathering stuff, we're up to about 8-10 new projects. Yes, they haven't announced a setting book or any splat books, yes, but they didn't announce the Eberron book at the start of 2025, and that came out. They didn't announce the Magic the Gathering crossover stuff that's D&D Beyond, and those came out. They didn't announce any of the things that were on Drive-Thru or D&D Beyond, but those all came out. Stuff comes out, and sometimes they will wait to a couple days before they announce something, you know? Especially if it's a smaller thing. Are we going to get any new rule books in 2026? Probably not. Are we going to get a setting besides Dark Sun? Maybe. Are we going to get just fluff books, at least for the beginning? Sure. And then sometime in the middle, they'll announce something else. And then sometime later on, they'll announce something else. It'll just be like the Eberron book and everything else. Plus, there's third-party stuff. Plus, there's the stuff they're doing with Penguin and Random House, right? So, yeah, they've got stuff coming out. Nothing bad's going to happen. And as for they're not working on new stuff, they're not working on a 6th edition. Of course they're working on a 6th edition. Otherwise, why would they be hiring new people? But will this change anything? Will the new faces be just more Mackenzies? Or will they actually be dynamic personalities that are going to change the current self-destructive spiral of Wizards of the Coast? Probably not, because, say it with me for the first time in 2026, that's so Wizard!
Mischief in the classroom, potions gone astray, flying through the quad, now brighter every day. Laugh till we cry hard, sneaking out at night, cloaks in the moonlight, everything feels right.